All right, we should be live right now. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to the first Jamsville live stream. That's going to be sort of a legit experience here. I've done a live stream before, but I've been spending the last few weeks getting to know what's called OBS, this great software that's going to allow me to do way better streams. So yeah, we're going to be talking today about how to play smoother guitar solos. So this is one of my big things that I talk about a lot, just in my channel in general, and also in my Jamsville GPS fretboard fundamentals course, is this idea of getting around the fretboard and not being stuck in one position the whole entire time. So I'm just going to throw on this backing track here that I made a couple days ago and jam out a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and get right into the lesson. So yeah, while we're waiting for more people to get in here, let's go ahead and do some playing. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into this lesson. So I wasn't really doing it the entire time in that solo, but I was trying to sort of get on one string at a time and just move up and down and play some nice little patterns over that chord progression. So let's go ahead and just jump right into exactly how I'm thinking about soloing on this chord progression. And what's up, David? David Lovejoy, he's got a great YouTube channel. Everyone, you should check him out. 2-minute guitar lessons. What's up? How you doing? For whoever's watching, make sure you comment where you're watching from. It's really cool to me that anyone in the world can be watching this, so I'd really love to hear where you're from. So let's go ahead and get right into this. So we're going to begin by working out sort of the general key of this track on one string at a time, and then we're going to start to kind of glue it together, okay? So the chord progression for this track is B flat minor to G flat to F to B flat minor. That's pretty much the the structure of the whole entire thing. But if you see, there's actually a second line. It starts with D flat instead of the B flat minor. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but that D flat chord, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty much like the same thing as the B flat minor chord. So this progression's technically in the key of B flat minor, but it's also, I think of it kind of D flat major, because D flat is the relative major of B flat minor. We're not going to get too much into the chord theory behind this whole entire thing. It's going to be more focused on the soloing aspect of it, but I just want to talk about that for a little bit. So if we're thinking of this in the key of B flat minor, it's 1 flat 6 5 to 1, and then 3 flat 6 5 to 1. So B flat minor is the 1 chord, G flat is the flat 6 chord, and F is the 5 chord, the dominant 5 chord. That F is actually the only chord that doesn't really fit with the key center that we're going to work out here, but we'll talk about soloing on that chord in a second. It's pretty easy to solo on that one. So then the D flat is also the 3 chord. So the 3 and the 1 chord in a minor progression are very, very similar because they share a lot of notes. Actually, the B flat minor has the notes B flat, D flat, and F in it, but the D flat major has the notes D flat, F, and A flat. So D flat and F are shared between those two chords. That's one of the reasons why they sound really similar. So we're going to work out the D flat major scale, or it's the same thing as the B flat natural minor scale, on one string at a time. So we're going to start actually on the 5th string here, and we're going to start by learning this D flat note. So it's here on the 4th fret of the 5th string, and as you can see here, I got this this neat little diagram here that I can start to throw some of these notes on. So we got a D flat right there. Awesome. And we're going to have 2 more notes that are going to be just going up the string, skipping 1 fret at a time. So we got D flat, E flat, and then F. So this is the same pattern that you're going to find in any key. So this is the first note and second and third note of the scale, D flat, E flat, F. And no matter what key you're in, 1, 2, and 3 are always going to be that exact pattern, that shape right there. 3 notes that all have a fret in between them. And then we're going to keep going up here. So now we're going to finally go up a half step to G flat. So the 4th note is always going to be a half step above the 3rd note. Then we're going to go up another whole step, another whole step, and then another whole step. And we can actually keep going up a half step. Let's go ahead and increase the amount of frets that we got here. That'll make it easier. And let me make sure that that's going to look okay for you guys. Yep, still looks good. So what we're going to do is then put the D flat up an octave here. And that pattern is going to be the exact same pattern on every single string. And yeah, the only difference is going to be where the pattern starts. So if you notice, there's actually a few frets there below the D flat that we're not playing on yet. So we're going to work those out in a few seconds, but let's just go ahead and play through this D flat major scale. So we got D flat, E flat, F. We're going to go up a half step to G flat, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, and then D flat up an octave here. And then if we wanted to, we could keep going up as far as my guitar goes. Can get all the way up to G flat on this guitar, okay? So you have to memorize this pattern, this major scale pattern on one string. It is so, so, so important for you to get that under your fingers like really, really comfortably. So just notice that the first 3 notes are all whole steps apart, and I like to call that group 1 in my course, the GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. And then we go up a half step, and then group 2 starts at that point. So does this sound okay? It seems like it might be clipping a little bit here on the OBS. Let me know if it sounds okay or if anything happens, guys. Want to make sure that these streams are as good as they can possibly be for you all. Okay, so we have those first 3 notes, 1, 2, and 3, and that's group 1. And then basically we go up a half step, and then the rest of the notes are also the same thing, all whole steps apart, and I like to call that group 2. So that G flat, A flat, B flat, C. And that's going to be the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th notes in the scale, okay? So we're going to be learning that exact same pattern on every string, and you're going to see that's to me, that's like the key of just getting all over the fretboard, is realizing, wait a second, we have all these different position patterns and stuff, and they all look different, but there is one common pattern that goes through all of them. So if we just actually backtrack, starting from the D flat that's all the way up there on the 16th fret, then what we're going to do is have a C on the 3rd fret, right? Because C is always going to be a half step below that D flat. So we're going to go ahead and put a C there. Make sure I don't do anything stupid here. And then finally, we know that there's also going to be a B flat a whole step below that C. Always, no matter where you have a C, you're going to have a B flat a whole step below. So now that's pretty much all of the notes that we can find that will fit over this backing track on that one string. So let's review those really quick. So we got B flat, C, B flat, E flat, F, D flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, and then it could keep going up like I said before. So the key is to know what notes are in the key. Yeah, know what notes are in the key, know what notes are in the scale, and then find what's the lowest note that you can possibly play on each string, and then go from there. Just follow the pattern afterwards. So actually, I forgot to bring this up earlier. These are the notes that fit in that D flat major scale. So D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C. You should kind of get that by now. So what we're going to do is, now let's work this same thing out over the 4th string. So the 4th string, we all know, is the D string, right? So the lowest note we're going to be able to find is this E flat note. Because we can't find a D flat that's lower than the actual tuning of the string. We can't go any lower than D. So our first note that we can find is E flat right there. And just from looking at the pattern that we've already established, we can see that when we're on E flat, we have to go up a whole step to F, and then we just take it from there. We go up a half step to G flat, then A flat a whole step, B flat a whole step, C a whole step, and then D flat a half step above. And then we just keep going with that same group 1 and group 2 pattern. D flat, E flat, F, and then G flat, A flat, B flat, C. That's the highest note that I can get up to. So let's draw that out here on the fretboard so that you can visualize this a little better. So we got E flat, then we're going to have F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, and I'm not going to go any further than that. So we've already mapped out 2 strings that are right next to each other on this fretboard. So that's already actually, just even if we didn't learn any other strings, you could play some pretty cool sounding stuff with just that. So one of my favorite things actually to do is create little patterns between 2 different strings. Like, for example, if we go to the 5th string, we take that B flat and the C, and then we take the E flat and the F on the 4th string. You can see that we have this like little box pattern, right? And then we could actually just move each of those notes up diatonically in the scale. So that's the thing about knowing the notes in the key that you're playing in, actually all over the strings, is that you can transpose things diatonically more easily. I remember when I first started learning how to create little patterns in my solos, I would always just try to move everything up like the same amount of frets, but it doesn't really work like that. You need to know what notes need to move up a half step and what notes need to move up a whole step, because not always going to be the same. So we could have like what I just said, B flat, C, E flat, F, and then we could start on the C instead. So C, B flat, F, G flat, D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, and we can create this nice little pattern. Right? So even just that, like, it's very simple to think about, and it makes you sound, well, smoother, like this whole entire stream is about. It lets you create a pattern that keeps moving, and it's not interrupted just because you don't know, like, the proper fingering to play, or you don't know that cage system pattern or whatever. You can just think about 2 strings at a time, and it kind of gives you this illusion, actually, that we're playing all over the fretboard. We're not really playing the entire fretboard. We're just playing 2 strings, right? So let's move a little bit faster through this. I don't want to be just the whole entire time working out this stuff over the fretboard. So I think you guys pretty much get it. Let's move on to the 3rd string, which is the G string. So, well, we can't have G flat on that string because G flat's lower than G. So the first note that we're going to be able to put on there is going to be A flat, right? So we know that A flat is always going to go up a whole step to B flat, then C, then D flat. So we're back at the root of the major scale, D flat major scale. And then we can go up E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, and C is the highest one that I'm going to put on here. So there we go. Let's play through that really quick, okay? So we're going to have A flat, B flat, G, B flat, B flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C. And then we could go up to D flat, and we can go as high as our guitar reaches, okay? So that's, you see, again, it's the same pattern. We got the D flat, E flat, and F. That's the same pattern there in the 3rd string as it was on the 5th string, as it was on the 4th string right here. Always the same exact patterns relative to each other on the notes, but they're starting in different places. All right, so now we're going to do the 2nd string, which is going to be the B string. So there's no B in the key of D flat major, so we're going to have to go up a half step and start on C, which is the 7th note in the key, the last note in the key. So C, then we're right there at the root, D flat, then E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat. So again, D flat, E flat, F. There you go. Once again, the exact same pattern. You don't have to memorize a bunch of patterns. You just got to memorize 7 notes. 7 notes in the key you're playing. All right, so now let's play through that one actually really quick. So C, B flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Perfect. And now, here's the cool thing too, is that we don't even need to memorize 6 different strings, because the 6th string and the 1st string are going to be the exact same pattern, exact same notes, just a different octave. So we are going to do, let's do the 1st string and the 6th string at the same time. So what we're going to do is find out the name of the string. So it's going to be the E string, right? And, well, we can't have an E because that's not part of the notes. We have an E flat in there, but we, of course, also can't put the E flat in there because E flat is lower than the lowest note available in the string. So we're going to put F is going to be our first note. F on the first fret. So let's go ahead and put that in there. F. And then we just continue the pattern from there. We know we go up a half step to G flat, then whole step to A flat, whole step to B flat, whole step to C, half step to D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat. It's super, super duper easy. And now we can also go ahead and do the same thing here on the 6th string. And look at that. We literally just mapped out the entire freaking fretboard of this key. And how long have we been streaming here? About 20 minutes. So probably for a YouTube video, that's not a short amount of time. But when you think about how long it takes to get good at guitar, that's pretty short to be able to do that in just a few minutes. And of course, the more that you do this, the quicker that you get at it. And you don't even have to do it anymore. You just memorize, hey, I know where all these notes are in this certain key. So let's go ahead and pick one string to solo on. I'm going to go ahead and start clearing off some of the notes here. So let's go ahead and pick the 3rd string. I like doing a lot of stuff on the top sort of 3 strings, just because it's just where the melodies of the guitar sit better, honestly. So I wish I knew a way better to clear off all these notes, but you know, that's how it goes. So let's go ahead and clear all this stuff off. And then we're going to take a look at just soloing on that string at a time. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and leave that there. So let's just pick that 3rd string. We're going to go over that one more time, and then I'm going to play a little solo using only those notes. Remember I said before that this the chord progression, the F major chord in there, is not going to quite fit, but let's go ahead and just ignore that for right now, okay? Who cares about the notes? We're going to just focus on learning this one key on the string, and then we're going to focus also on playing really good rhythm. Rhythm is more important than all this other stuff that we're talking about, guys. You can play all the perfect notes, but if you don't play good rhythms, it's just not going to sound good. So 3rd string here, we got A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat, F, D flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat. Okay, let's do it backwards. And also, by the way, the thing that I really like about this too is that we can just slide around like this. It kind of sounds like a sitar or something. You know, it's one of my favorite sounds a guitar can make. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and play a solo using only that 3rd string. So there's a cool little idea here. So we just take one of the notes and move up and play with those two. Move up to the next note, to C and D flat. And now I'm going to start on D flat, slide up to E flat instead. Same thing, now start on E flat, move up to F and slide between notes. So that already sounds pretty smooth, and we're just playing between 2 notes a step apart. What if we pick 2 notes that are far apart? So what about D flat and E flat? What about now C and F? Now let's do 3 notes. I kind of made a mistake there, but I like that mistake. So C, D flat, and F. as you can see, this is the kind of thing that you gotta work on. Just come up with little ideas like this. I played one note that wasn't in the key. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, cool. So you guys are kind of getting it here. Let's go ahead and switch this camera angle. So yeah, this whole idea. I mean, this is super simple stuff, right? There's nothing complicated about this. This is not, robotic music theory. This is just learning 7 notes and doing it on one string, and then being creative with it. So you definitely, to get better at improvising, you have to have this kind of exploratory mindset for sure. You have to be willing to take risks, and you have to be able to just explore the different possibilities that are going on. All right, so let's keep going here. I want to mention, whoever's watching, make sure you like the video. Like the video. Let's get these streams, get some momentum going on these streams. I really, really want to do more of these. I think that this is super fun. Not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous before this, but this is turning out to be really fun. Just having you guys, we got, I think, 5 people in here. That's awesome. Make sure you comment below. Where are you watching from? We got David from Worthing, UK. We got 2-minute guitar lessons from Lebanon. Wow, that's completely on the other side of the world from where I am. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And yeah, if you guys want to learn how to master the fretboard and be able to do this stuff really quickly, where we don't have to sit there and like work out all the notes for every scale, every key that you're soloing on, make sure you head on over to Jamsville.com. Pick up that Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. I've had so many people tell me I'm not charging enough for the course. It's only $64.99. And for $64.99, that's less than almost anybody teaches one guitar lesson for. You get the keys to Ferrari, guys. Like, you're going to learn how to play in all keys. You're going to learn all the chords that you need to know. It's going to be in a super easy to follow step-by-step manner. It's not the same as like any other course. I haven't seen another course that teaches the stuff the way that I do. And I think it's really good to get like a different perspective from the sort of mainstream way of doing things. Now, I think it also is good to learn your position patterns, all that stuff. Trust me, I use that stuff all the time. But this idea that we've been talking about here, playing on one string at a time, I mean, this is really sort of what opened my eyes to lots of different things. Opened my eyes to just being able to play melodically and just have more fun and not have to worry so much about, just playing random stuff and having it not sound that good and not having it sound musical. So cool. Yeah, make sure you like the video. Let's keep going. Let's do one more string, and then we'll talk about that F chord, and then we'll do some questions if anyone's still around, and we'll wrap up the stream. All right. So we are going to go back over here, and let's take now let's take the second string, because that kind of goes in line with what I was talking about. I like to do sort of the top 3 strings. By the way, for some reason, I find a lot of guitar players, if they know the notes on the guitar at all, it's usually on the low E string and the 5th string, the A string, because I guess that's where you need to know your notes to be able to play different power chords and stuff like that. Power chords and bar chords. So let's go over that second string really quick. So we got C, B flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, E flat. And again, just notice those little patterns in there. The D flat, E flat, F, same thing, right? And then we always go up a half step. to G flat, B flat, A flat, B flat, C. So it's kind of that G flat, A flat, B flat, C. Looks the same as the D flat, E flat, F, except that it has an extra note in it. It's 4 notes. All right, so let's mess around with some soloing on that and see how it comes out. Oh yeah, gotta do some bending in there too, by the way. You can practice your bending on one string. What's the biggest slide that I can do? Let's see if I can slide like an octave. So there's a little pattern for you right there. So so it's just taking basically 3 notes. It's like this. So again, those kinds of things, they just, I mean, I think it's just really, really cool and simple sounding. That's kind of the bread and butter. If you want to be able to do that stuff, to be able to just play nice sounding solo and not sound sort of mechanical. I'm sure there's some points there. Some people would probably say I sounded a little mechanical. Hey, wait, what can you do? So yeah, let's do one more. Well, before we do that, actually, really quick, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this F chord. So when you get to this F chord, which is always the 3rd chord in the progression, really you can't actually play all the notes here, except you want to sort of avoid the B flat. There was a few times that I did play the B flat on there, but again, that's because I'm just trying to stick pretty strictly to these notes that we worked out here in the key of B flat minor. But what we're gonna do is on the F chord, there's only one extra note that we're gonna focus on. Okay, and I say that very deliberately because you don't have to play it, but I think it's good to focus on this note on the F chord, and that is going to be it's gonna look here on the on the D string. So it's going to be this A natural here, okay? Let's go ahead and let's change the color of this, actually. Let's make this one red. Yeah, let's make that red. So this A natural here, the reason for that A natural is that actually that's the 3rd of the F major chord. Again, we're not going to turn this into like a big theory thing, but just know that whenever you have this kind of major 5 chord, which that's what's going on with that F chord, it's a 5 of the B flat minor chord. It's designed to pull us to that B flat minor chord, and that A is the 3rd of it, which is called the leading tone. So that A wants to lead up to B flat. So if I play an F major chord, or an F dominant 7, even better. So that da-da wants to lead into B flat, which is the root of the 1 chord. That is sort of the basic paradigm that we find in music actually all the time, this dominant to tonic relationship. So And really, that can just be boiled down to that third, that leading tone going up to the root. You can do it somewhere else. So let's add in all the A notes that we can find on the fretboard, and it's gonna be really easy. Just find all the B flats, and then go down a half step, okay? Go down a half step from there. So let's do that really quick. Might not add all of them in there just for the sake of time, but we're gonna have one there too. We'll also have one here on the open A string, right? We also have one here. We have one here. So I'm just going to B flat, and I'm putting an A natural to the left of it. Let's see, we got one there. And I don't know, I might have missed some, but oh, yeah, that one disappeared. Okay, so that looks like I pretty much got all of them. And yeah, so basically that A is the nice juicy note, okay? So let's pick one string, and when I get to the F chord, I'm going to start to target that A note a little bit. Make sure I just get it in there somehow. I'll try to make it nice and simple so that you can hear it. I'll try not to play too many notes. So let's do the first string. You hear that? Hear that A resolving? We've been so used to hearing actually only these D flat major notes that you can immediately tell when that A natural comes in. Ooh, that's not one of the notes that we've been playing this whole time. But that note is super, super important, especially when we're on that F chord. So let's go ahead and try that now. And you know what? Let's leave it on this scene while I go ahead and do this. So you can keep an eye on the diagrams too while I'm doing this. There's the A. And I resolved it up to B flat. So that, I kind of like that. So it's just those two notes, and then I changed the B flat to A. So it's B flat and F. And then on the F chord, I played A and F. Oh, check that out. That's kind of the opposite. So now I have E flat and D flat, and now A and D flat. All right, guys. So, does anybody have any questions about anything? I think that this stuff is, well, I might have been going a little bit fast. We've already been streaming here for 38 minutes, actually, but I might have been going a little bit fast. But it seems pretty simple, actually, to work this stuff out. And you got to know whatever song you're soloing on, you got to find out the chords. And hopefully it's all those chords are in one key. And if that's the case, then all you got to do is just find out that one key. But if there's some chords that don't fit in the key, then you want to find the notes in those chords as well. And we'll talk more about that in some future streams and future videos. I've talked about that in some videos. Actually, if you haven't watched it yet, my last sort of long video I put up, I believe it was called How to Solo Confidently. So that talks a lot about this idea of figuring out the chords that are in a song and then figure out the notes in those chords across the guitar fretboard. So just a few things before we get off too, if no one's got any questions. Make sure that you download the free ebook that I have called 10 Essential Improv Patterns. So that actually goes over a lot of these sort of little patterns I was making. And it's very useful, especially if you already know a little bit about the notes on one string at a time, because then you can actually analyze the patterns there. But it'll also be very useful for you to just learn how to play some of them and learn the shapes that are involved. And you'll start to notice these when you work out scales across the fretboard. You'll notice these different easy patterns that you can create. 2-note pattern, 3-note, maybe 4-note patterns. But I always find that it's so much easier, more fun to solo when you're basing your stuff off of a sort of simple idea. I think that's one thing that I struggled with for a long time, is like feeling like I gotta come up with all these different ideas when I'm soloing and all this kind of stuff. It's like a lot of pressure. Oh my God, I gotta come up with all this different stuff. But no, actually, I find that it's a lot better if you can get the most out of one small idea. Learn how to milk those ideas. So yeah, we're gonna talk about more of that on future streams. Also, one thing I really, really want to do with these streams is do some live writing sessions. So getting into Logic. Actually, I have this set up. I'll just take so you guys can see this really quick. So I can go in here in Logic, and this is the backing track I created. And I have it muted, but there's some stuff that I played there for the last short that I posted. But yeah, it took me a long time to figure out how to do this, but now I can actually just go in there and it should sound good for you guys. It should sound like, it's playing from your computer. That's very important for me to, provide a quality experience for you all. So let me know if that's something that you want to see in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this afterwards. Yeah, so again, guys, all this stuff is found in my Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course. So if you don't know what I was talking about here, if it felt like it was going too fast, I go through really, really, really slow and methodically in that course how to work out, how to know all the notes that you need to play across the entire guitar fretboard, and how to get yourself unstuck from being like in those box patterns where it's hard to create actual musical ideas. It feels like you're running a scale. I feel like this method of playing alleviates that problem a lot, of feeling like I'm running a scale, or people say it all the time. How do I sound like I'm not playing scales? Well, this is a huge part of what it is, I think. And then the other half to it, I would say, is just making sure that you're focusing more on cool rhythmic ideas. Those cool rhythmic ideas are where it's at. Learning how to play rhythm really, really well. Drummers practice rhythm all the time. We got to practice it too, guys. All right, so I think that we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Make sure you check out the Jamsville GPS Fretboard Fundamentals course and go get the free PDF, 10 Essential Improv Patterns. It's totally free. You got nothing to lose. It's really, really going to help your playing and your soloing out, and I think you're going to have a ton of fun working with this stuff. All right, everybody. Until next time, listen, learn, and jam.